the number of diners and guests that are looking for more kiosks has doubled over the past 2 years. And they're spending more on kiosks. Why? When you have AI in kiosks, now I can cross-sell and upsell exactly what you want and really lead you through the menu structure exactly like you expect it to.
The 28th ICR conference is underway in Orlando, Florida, bringing together 3,000 attendees and 250 industry leaders. One of them is Benny Tadele. He is the EVP and President of Restaurants for NCR Voyix. It's a 145-year-old company that has been listed on the New York Stock Exchange for 100 years. Benny, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. We've been around for 145 years and listed for 100 years at the NYSE, and we were very excited to celebrate that last Friday, ringing the bell.
We're so happy to have you as part of the NYSE community. So a commerce company that's been around for 145 years, can you take us through the evolution of NCR Voyix?
Yeah, so 145 years, based in Dayton, Ohio, not Daytona, Dayton, Ohio. John Patterson, the starter. In fact, if you go back and trace our history, there's a lot of things that modern business and modern technology can learn and have learned actually from John. Things like putting your customers first. We actually have the saying at the entrance of our building, treat every customer like your only customer. That was John. John was the first leader that has organized sales practice and sales leadership. Sales kickoff. We actually just did our sales kickoff in New York. He started that practice for the world. International business. A very maniacally focused guy on business growth and customer, the good for the customer. And throughout the years, NCR grew to become a conglomerate, especially in the 80s and 90s, acquiring various businesses outside of retail and restaurant, in the banking sector, ATM driving. And throughout the 2000s, grew in software and evolved into what it is today, the digital software-driven commerce facilitation powered by our platform company. But over the years, conglomerate also means that focused on so many businesses that you don't know where to focus. So that desire for focus led us to split the company in 2023. So we spun out the ATM business, now back to our heritage of retail restaurant since 2023. And then throughout 2024, we divested a digital banking business. So now really a retail and restaurant business that's focused on providing unified commerce through our platform.
So what does that look like in practice, providing unified commerce for restaurants and retailers?
In practice, it means that anything that's a technology then within the restaurant, I'll take restaurant as an example, starting from how do we facilitate the in-person payment experience. So that's the point of sale. That is the menu and the pricing element that sits within the point of sale. That is the kitchen that actually facilitates the order, production. That's the digital channel, online, e-commerce, mobile payments. So all of this we power through our platform. But it's not just that. It's also the end-to-end payment experience. So accepting the payment, processing the payment, settling the payment. So we provide the end-to-end payment experience. And then finally is for restaurants, it's not just about the software. It's not just about the technology, because technology inherently doesn't always work and it always changes. You want something new as well. So it is also the people, the services. We have over 8,000 people around the globe, especially for global brands, that facilitate call centers and help desk for any technology within the restaurant, even if it is not an NCR Voyix technology, as well as the installation, the support, the break fix in the field. So we do software, we do payments, as well as the services for the operation.
And do you think your founders' commitment to customer service and really putting the customer first is the reason why NCR Voyix is around 145 years later?
I say that without our customers, the business doesn't exist. In fact, without customers, I wouldn't even be here. So ultimately, the customer is the center of the business, and I think that's exactly right. That ethos of customer has to be the center of the business. That ethos that at the center, at the core of your business, it has to be that mentality. What is good for the customer? Because I believe in my bones that what's good for the customer is going to ultimately benefit me. That is the business mentality, what has sustained us. Now, NCR Voyix, especially I would say not NCR Voyix, NCR, especially as it grew and larger through acquisitions and some of the focus challenge that I talked about, that ethos has been lost. And through the transformation and the change that we've done over the past 3 years, we're back at that. We're seeing really great feedback from our customers, and I'm looking for 100 more years to come in our future.
What has growth looked like over those past 3 years since you made the changes?
So I would say before we talk about growth, what have we done in terms of change? What have we done in terms of transformation of the company? So I talked about the split and the focus, but also it was also about cleaning up our balance sheet. So prior to the split, we had over 4 times turn in terms of our leverage. So selling the digital banking business allowed us to reduce that leverage. So much less debt. That's very attractive for investors, but also it means now we can reinvest into the business. So very healthy cash flow. So we've been investing on our products and solutions. The other change that we've done is operational discipline. We are a company that really believes, tied to that customer commitment, operational discipline and execution is critical. Execution around how do we deliver to the commitments of our customers, execution around how do we increase our say-do ratio. What we say we actually deliver. We are believable, we're credible. And then around that is how do we show up to our customers? So customer conversations, spending a lot of time with our customers, that has been our priority over the past 2 years, and we're seeing great feedback. We're seeing the lowest attrition in the industry in terms of customers, less than 1%, which is unheard of. We're seeing anecdotal conversations with customers that we're seeing great feedback, but also proper structured customer sat surveys that is reflecting this change. And then ultimately is this customer first mentality is allowing us to win new logos, but also expand our existing relationship with customers. One great example we shared with the market last quarter was the Chipotle renewal, that we renewed our relationship with Chipotle for 6 years exclusive agreement to adopt the new solution we brought to market. Is the next generation point of sale, microservices and edge. So new architecture, very resilient, very fast to implement and to innovate on top of. So really seeing great green shoots of growth and adoption and stability of the business, and we're looking forward for the growth as we continue in 2026.
And speaking of your growth, what has AI adoption looked like?
I'll start by talking. AI is so interesting. You can't have any of these conversations without talking about AI. So I look in the industry, in restaurant, the majority of operators are today adopting generative AI for things like communication and marketing. And if you're really advanced, you're using it for internal enablement. And internal enablement, the most use cases like employee training. So you're making generative AI part of the team. But the really creative ones, especially this year as we enter in self-service, AI is becoming at the forefront. You think about who wants to use kiosks. The number of diners and guests that are looking for more kiosks has doubled over the past 2 years. And they're spending more on kiosks. Why? When you have AI in kiosks, now I can cross-sell and upsell exactly what you want and really lead you through the menu structure exactly like you expect it to. Drive-through is another area. In drive-through, where if you're like me, you can't wait more than a minute through the drive-through. The abandon rate is pretty significant. So brands like Bojangles, brands like Wendy's, you see them adapting voice AI. Why? Because now the order acceptance rate is more than 95%. Huge acceptance rate. And not only that, it reduces the workload in employees by a third. So when you have this world of the consumer sentiment is at its lowest since 2020, and a world where efficiency is really critical, talent is very difficult to find, there's margin pressures. So all of this on the market means that an AI capability that helps you solve speed, that helps you upsell, cross-sell the high margin items, that helps you make operational decisions is critical. And we've been investing for us in our products. So we look at it in 3 ways. One is, yes, all of the products we're bringing to market have these AI capabilities embedded, and we're embedding more and more. Data and analytics, forecasting, understanding your kitchen throttling, Just your production capacity based on the demand that you see coming through from the different channels for the kitchen, but also in the internal enablement, accelerating innovation, accelerating the development cycle, driving efficiency, helping when restaurants call for a troubleshooting an issue, shrinking that from initial call to resolution timeline. So we're doing a lot of things in AI. You can't talk about restaurant technology without talking about AI.
What is next for NCR Voyix?
So we are I would say, at the cusp of the growth engine that we've been building. And over the past 2 years, I talked about the change, the transformation, the cultural change we actually have introduced. And I think about culture has been infused through restructuring the team, creating a one-team mentality that was creating that urgency to service the customer. We've decreased really the layers of the management, so the leaders are much closer to the customer. We have empowered teams. And now all of this foundational work, along with the new products and solutions that we've just unveiled as NRF and at ICR now, around the next generation point of sale microservices, edge, centralized menu, the back office solution. All of these now are positioning us for the transformation that we see in our customer base. Whether it is working with the number of new brands that we're talking to today, to expanding our wallet share in our existing base, the adoption of payments, payment technologies across our base. So lots of things, good things happening in 2026.
Benny Tadele, EVP and President of Restaurants for NCR Voyix. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Enjoy the talk.